Hey everyone, my name is Emma and welcome back to Story Central, your center for all the best stories on Reddit. I am 28 years old and getting married to my fiancé in 6 months. My parents have been divorced for 13 plus years, but I still keep in contact with both of them. My dad gave me $20,000 last year as a gift for our wedding to pay for the reception, ceremony, etc. I accepted as we had just bought a property, and we were initially planning to have a small wedding, but with this financial help, we agreed to have a slightly bigger affair at a nice hotel in our area. Then the problems began. My dad muttered and complained about the venue options, but ultimately he accepted the hotel idea. Then, he wanted paper wedding invitations to be sent by mail to guests, but we said we weren't doing that as it's hard to keep track of guests, and we opted for a wedding website. My dad got angry, and ever since, he has started each sentence with "since I'm paying for the wedding. You need to have paper invites, you need to serve salmon, you need to pay for these guest accommodations, etc." I calmly explained to him that I appreciate the gift greatly, but me and my fiancé are doing all the work for wedding planning. He never once offered to help, and we will do things our way as it's not his wedding. He didn't listen. Last week, things escalated. Once I told him that we didn't choose salmon as an option for the reception meal, he emailed me and demanded to know how his money was being spent via an accounting spreadsheet. He also demanded to see the full list of menu options so he could choose a different menu. I refused to give him the info. I said, let's talk in person at Christmas. Now, brace yourself. My dad's girlfriend, who has over the past 10 plus years tried to control this relationship between me and my dad, emails my fiancé and tells him that we are being disrespectful of my father, that my dad is too angry for words and is demanding a spreadsheet of his money and to see us, etc. I told my fiancé not to respond, but he does. My fiancé is fed up with all this and offers to give the money back to my dad to mend our relationship. But they refuse and say it's not about the money. It's about the respect. Read, respect equals control, and we need to meet ASAP. There is no emergency. We are scheduled to meet up this weekend, me and my fiancé, my dad's GF, at a local coffee shop, and I am dreading it. I really don't think we should return the money as we budgeted everything based on this cash gift, and it would really strain us to return it. At the same time, just because my dad has given us money for the wedding, does this give him and his girlfriend the right to harass and control us in this way? What should I do? I value my relationship with my dad, but I think this has crossed too many lines. Update: I was being so gaslighted by my dad and his girlfriend that I thought I was being the mean one for not giving them a spreadsheet for the wedding. All because my dad gave us some money to spend on the reception. So I also took my therapist's advice and I tried to make the meeting with them go as smoothly as possible. I told my dad that I really appreciate the gift, but I refuse to be controlled. So he told me to write a check and give the money back immediately. I refused as I didn't have my checkbook with me, so he said call the bank. Anyway, I tried to reason with him. I said I called the venue and gave him the fish he wanted, and I even made a little spreadsheet for him of the wedding estimate. Then his girlfriend said she has already talked to our wedding venue planner and there are other food options, and they gave us a sheet of the menu they wanted. I said I don't want to read what they gave us because it's not their wedding. Then I told my fiancé he doesn't have to listen to what they say. So my dad said to my fiancé, "Are you a man? Will you make your own decision?" And my fiancé took the sheet. At this point I was getting irate, and my dad's girlfriend kept interrupting us and saying that we are so rude, that it's not the way we treat her partner, my dad, etc. So I lost my cool. I stood up and said shut the frick up to my dad's girlfriend in a cafe full of people during lunchtime and stormed out and had a bit of a breakdown. My fiancé wants to give back the money, so we will do that soon. My dad's GF contacting our venue planner behind our backs was a step too far. Should we just give back the money and uninvite them entirely? I feel foolish for losing my cool, but I had enough by this point. Not an idiot. Give them the money back in the form of a cashier's check, and scale back on your wedding plans to whatever extent you need to in order to not go hip deep in debt to pay for it. I assume this means cutting down on the guest list, and so gosh golly gee, unfortunately your dad and his GF are no longer invited. Too bad, so sad. When you hand them the check, include a letter that spells out that A, they are no longer welcome at the wedding, and B, they are not to make any attempt to contact or communicate with you, your fiancé, or any of your wedding vendors. Call your wedding planner and all of your vendors and put passwords on all of your accounts with them so that no one can so much as talk to them unless they have the password. When the actual wedding comes, assign some of your fiancé's buddies to keep an eye out for dad and GF and make sure they don't get in should they decide to try to crash. Not an idiot. Yes, return the money and uninvite. Do not allow them to further tarnish what should be a happy occasion just because you share DNA with one of them. A true gift doesn't have strings, and we, Beyonce and I, have no interest in being strangled by the ropes you want us to jump over for this money or your attendance. Or something like that. I'm not sure what to say to them, but bottom line, you really don't want or need that kind of judgmental bullshit at an event that is supposed to be all about loving and supporting you and your future spouse. Now for the next story. I met my second cousin for the first time ever at my high school graduation party. I had just turned 18 very recently before that. He followed me around a lot at my party, but I thought he was just being friendly. My cousin randomly added me on Facebook the day after my open house graduation party and texted me for a whole week straight after, and then on and off every day since. He had also added my high school friends on Facebook, too. I was not interested in being friends with him at all, but because he was family, I replied a few times anyway to prevent being seen as rude. There was also one incident where I was at my college looking for my class, and I mentioned that in conversation to him. He showed up at my college without me asking to show me where my class was. That was a bit freaky by itself, but what was worse was when I requested to walk there, a small campus, and he insisted I get into his car. I suspected his friendliness was more here but didn't confirm it until later. I ignored him after that, hoping he would just leave me alone. He texted me a few days later in reply to a photo I posted of me in pajamas. He replied and said, "I hope you don't mind me saying this, but God, you are so adorable." I awkwardly said haha thanks and went back to ignoring him. It became a real issue when his next reply was, "I wouldn't mind hugging you from behind. You know, since your underwear is showing." I didn't reply right away because I was processing how I should go about the situation. He had always made me uncomfortable, but now even more so. Enough that I couldn't ignore it anymore. During my silence, he asked if he was being too flirtatious. I informed him that, yes, he was. I explained my uncomfortableness, pointing out several things he'd said and done that had made me uncomfortable. I also addressed how I was uncomfortable with him being 8 years older than me while I had just turned 18 and him being my cousin. He never addressed the cousin thing, but he argued that an 8-year gap is just fine. He did apologize and said he will do better now that he knows my boundaries, but I blocked him because I felt like there were unspoken and obvious boundaries he already crossed. In addition, his apology consisted of the phrases "there's no need for any of this" and "sorry I didn't control myself," which made me additionally uncomfortable to hear. I decided to come to Reddit with this story because people have said I am rude for blocking my cousin since he is family. I have also been told that I am overreacting because technically nothing he did was illegal. I wanted some unbiased opinions of the situation, not an idiot. Block that so of a butch. For older adults, an 8-year gap may not be a big deal. For someone as young as you, it is a very big deal. He's being creepy and blocking him was entirely appropriate. Something doesn't have to be illegal in order to be out of line and unwanted. You may wish to consider blocking those who have objected to your blocking creepy cousin. Not an idiot. You do not have to wait for people to break the law to block them. Far too many adults think this way, and it leads to way worse problems. You're smart, you trust your gut, and you'll be better for it. People in your family convince themselves that their decision to let this disgusting person stay in their lives is a good thing, and for you to reject it means that they could have and didn't. What they're saying when they criticize you is that they're uncomfortable about their choices, and you shined a light on them. Good for you. Stay strong. You had the right to it when you blocked him. He's a predator and has every intention of finding other boundaries that you won't give him as many problems with. Keep him, anyone like him, and anyone who supports people like that out of your life. Not an idiot. You've done nothing wrong. Keep him blocked. And prepare yourself for him making multiple fake accounts to harass and stalk you. Yep, he's that delusional. Not only is he a weirdo and a creep, but he has romantic feelings for his very young adult cousin and wants to hug you from behind. He is so disgusting and shameless and lacks manners and decency. Very inappropriate behavior from a 26-year-old adult man. There was absolutely no need for him to add your friends, who he's never met or talked to, and come to your school to show you a classroom. He's a complete psycho and you need to protect yourself. Stay away from family functions and gatherings where he will show up. Avoid talking to family members who support him and his dirty antics.